Imagine someone you love walks out the door on an ordinary day heading to school, to work, or just to run an errand. They smile, they wave goodbye, and then they're gone. No phone calls, no messages, no trace of where they went. Hours turn into days, days into years, and still no answers. Families left shattered, detectives baffled, and a community haunted by the question, how can someone vanish without a trace? This is not just a story, it's one of the most mysterious cold cases that still remains unsolved to this day. Disappearance cases are some of the most haunting mysteries in the world of true crime. Unlike murders where answers sometimes come with evidence, an unsolved disappearance leaves only silence. Families left waiting for a knock on the door that never comes. Detectives chasing leads that vanish into thin air, and communities living with unanswered questions for years, sometimes decades. Tonight, we open the cold case files and step into one of the most baffling vanishings ever recorded. A case with no body, no clear suspect, and no closure. A mystery so chilling that it continues to puzzle investigators and terrify anyone who hears it. It was a crisp autumn day, the kind where the leaves painted the sidewalks in shades of orange and gold. Friends later recalled how cheerful the missing person had been that morning. There was no indication, no shadow, no sign that anything was wrong. They left home with plans to meet a friend, run an errand, or head toward a familiar spot. But somewhere along the way, they disappeared into thin air. The hours ticked by, and when they didn't return, family members grew concerned. Phone calls went unanswered, texts never came through, and eventually panic set in. By nightfall, a missing persons report was filed. At first, the police believed it was just a misunderstanding. Perhaps they had gone to visit a friend. Perhaps their phone had died. Perhaps they just needed some space. But as the minutes turned into hours and the hours into days, those excuses dissolved. Something had happened. Something no one could explain. Search parties were organized. Neighbors joined hands, combing through fields, riversides, and wooded areas. Volunteers distributed flyers, plastered photographs on lampposts, and pleaded for anyone with information to come forward. Helicopters swept the skies. Dogs sniffed through brush, and investigators retraced every step of that fateful day. But there was nothing, no footprints, no belongings, no evidence of a struggle. It was as if the earth had swallowed them whole. The investigation deepened. Detectives interviewed friends, co-workers, and anyone who might have seen the missing person that day. A few claimed to remember seeing them near a convenience store. Others swore they spotted them walking down a familiar street. But none of these leads led anywhere. Security cameras offered no answers. Bank accounts remained untouched. Social media went silent. As weeks passed, suspicion began to shift. Investigators turned their eyes toward those closest to the victim: friends, partners, even family members. After all, in many cases of disappearance, the answers lie uncomfortably close to home. But despite relentless questioning and hours of probing, no clear suspect emerged. Everyone had an alibi. Everyone seemed just as baffled as the police. Still, whispers spread through the town. Some suspected foul play, kidnapping, perhaps even murder. Others whispered of a darker possibility, that the missing person had chosen to leave voluntarily, escaping some secret burden no one else knew about. But those who loved them dismissed this idea. They knew their character, their dreams, their habits. This was not someone who would walk away without a word. Months became years, and still no answers. Birthdays passed in silence. Holidays were marked by empty chairs, and every ring of the phone sent shivers of hope through the family's hearts, only to end in disappointment. They clung to the missing person's belongings: clothes left hanging in the closet, favorite books gathering dust, photographs frozen in time, each item a painful reminder of what was lost. And then came the theories. Some believed the case was connected to other disappearances in nearby towns, part of a pattern authorities refused to acknowledge. Others thought it might have been the work of a serial predator, someone who knew how to strike quickly and vanish without leaving a trace. Paranormal enthusiasts whispered about abductions by forces beyond this world, while skeptics insisted the answer must lie in some overlooked clue buried deep in the evidence files. One chilling possibility was that the missing person had accepted a ride from a stranger. Hitchhiking wasn't common in their town, but if they trusted the wrong individual, it could explain how they vanished without a trace. Another theory suggested they stumbled upon something they weren't supposed to see, an illegal deal, a hidden crime, and were silenced to keep it secret. The truth, however, remained maddeningly out of reach. The years stretched on, but the case never faded. It was revisited time and time again by cold case detectives, each one hoping to be the one who would finally crack it. Files were reopened, evidence was re-examined, and new technologies were applied to old clues. DNA testing, digital forensics, even age progression sketches were used in the desperate search for answers. But every time hope flickered, it was extinguished just as quickly. The story spread beyond the town, appearing in newspapers, television specials, and eventually, on the internet. True crime enthusiasts analyzed every detail, sharing theories on message boards, podcasts, and forums. Some claimed to have insider knowledge, others connected dots that may or may not have existed. The case became part of the larger cultural fascination with unsolved mysteries, another haunting reminder of how easily someone can vanish. For the family, however, this was not just a story. It was their life. They continued to search, to fight, to push authorities for answers. They held vigils, lit candles, and never stopped speaking their loved one's name. Hope was their only lifeline, fragile but unbreakable. Because until a body is found, until undeniable proof surfaces, there is always the chance that the missing are still alive somewhere, waiting to be found. The most chilling part of this disappearance is how ordinary it all seemed. A normal day, a routine outing, and then nothing. No warning, no reason, no goodbye. It is the very ordinariness of it that makes it so haunting. Because if it could happen to them, it could happen to anyone. Even today, decades later, the case remains unsolved. Detectives still describe it as one of the most baffling disappearances in modern history. Files gather dust in evidence rooms, filled with reports, photos, and unanswered questions. And every year, the family renews their plea for answers, begging anyone who knows something to come forward. What happened on that day? Was it a crime meticulously planned and flawlessly executed? A random act of violence? A secret choice to vanish? Or something stranger, darker, beyond human understanding? No one knows. And perhaps no one ever will. But one thing is certain, the mystery of this disappearance continues to echo across time, haunting not only the family left behind, but everyone who hears the story. Because the scariest mysteries are not the ones filled with monsters or ghosts, they are the ones rooted in real life, where someone you love can vanish without a trace, leaving nothing but questions that may never be answered. The truth behind this disappearance remains buried in silence. Was it a carefully planned abduction, a crime of opportunity, or something far stranger? Until evidence is uncovered, the answers remain locked away, leaving only speculation and heartbreak. But every time we tell these stories, we keep the memory alive and the search for truth alive as well. If this case gripped you as much as it has haunted investigators for years, make sure to like this video, share it with others who love true crime mysteries, and subscribe for more chilling cold cases that demand answers. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and remember, sometimes the scariest mysteries are the ones that happen in real life.